You're most definitely right, Yael. So, what are you going to be making today? That's amazing. Yeah, I'd say mine is also kind of a twist on a traditional Thanksgiving dessert. It's a pumpkin cheesecake pie just because I always like a little kick. So I think the cheesecake will make it taste nice. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I was having some like issues, but basically during this live, we'll be cooking our recipes alongside you guys, and you guys can see the whole process. Um, yeah. So right now, I can just get started with some ingredients you'll need for the pumpkin cheesecake pie. So the first thing is 8 ounces of cream cheese. You'll also need some milk. I have that in my fridge, so when I need it, I'll come get it. You'll also need some sugar, which I have here. Some whipped topping. So I have Cool Whip, but you could use cream, just whipped cream or any other topping you like. You'll also need a graham cracker crust. I have the option of an Oreo crust or a graham cracker crust that we can pick from today, depending on what we decide to do. You'll also need 2 packages of instant vanilla pudding, so my Jello puddings, and you'll also need some spices. So the recipe I'm following recommended ground cinnamon and pumpkin spice, but I just have cinnamon here because honestly, I'm not a huge fan of pumpkin spices, but I do like the flavor from the canned pumpkin, which we have here. Okay, so.
All right, is my audio back? All right, sorry about that, you guys. I don't know why we're having some trouble.
Yay.
All right, yes, I am back. So the first thing I want to do is explain my ingredients to you guys. So these are all pretty simple staple ingredients that you should hopefully already have at home. So the first one, of course, is a sweet potato. The next is 2 teaspoons of cocoa powder. Then 1 tablespoon of peanut butter or any nut butter of your choice. And a tablespoon of maple syrup, or you could use brown sugar, but personally, I just love the taste of maple syrup. Then you're going to need a 4th teaspoon of baking soda, and optionally, you can use some chocolate chips, but in my book, chocolate chips are never optional, so I will be using them. And then just 1 egg. So I guess we can get started now. So the first step of my recipe is to take this sweet potato and just wash it right by the sink and then dry it off. So potatoes grow in the ground, of course, and if you don't end up actually washing it, it can be really dirty, and we don't want to get that sort of dirt and earth on our cooking tools. So I'm just going to head over to the sink and wash that now.
Right, so for my recipe, the first thing that you'll need to do is unwrap your 8 ounces of cream cheese. So what I did was I left it out for about half an hour before this live stream, so it'd be really soft and easy for me to mix. And so I'm just unwrapping it here and then placing it in this bowl. See, you might have to squeeze it all out, but there we go, our 8 ounces of cream cheese. Then we'll also need 1 tablespoon of milk, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and half of this whipped topping. So I'm gonna go get the milk really quick.
And then I can show you guys while Miranda does that this is all of the dirt that will come off of your potatoes, so definitely don't skip the washing step. All right, so now we can get into the actual cooking of this potato. Yeah, pretty gross. So we are going to, before we actually put this in the microwave, we're gonna pierce it on all sides with a fork. And when I say pierce it, I literally just mean just take a fork and just make some indentations, just like this. You don't have to press super hard.
And what's the
But
purpose?
what this allows us to do is, when it goes into the microwave, this will let steam escape the potato, and it will allow it to cook properly. So you just want to turn it on all sides and prick it.
All right. And I'm gonna add half of my Cool Whip into this mixture. So what's your favorite Thanksgiving food to eat, Yael?
You know, that is a great question, and I feel like I change my answer to this question every year. I think this year I'm gonna go with regular mashed potatoes. I know that might be surprising because I'm making sweet potatoes right now, but I think you just can't beat like the buttery fluffiness of a normal mashed potato dish. But I think stuffing is a very close second place contender.
Really?
What about you?
I would also say that I'm a mashed potatoes girl. I feel like potatoes are super versatile. Like, I love them when they're baked or mashed or fries. So I think every year mashed potatoes are my favorite. I'm actually, yeah, not a huge fan of stuffing just because I'm not sure what goes in it and where it goes on the plate. But if you guys are watching right now, let us know what your favorite Thanksgiving food is in the comments.
Definitely. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this sweet potato on a plate, and then I'm just gonna go over to my microwave and put it for 4 minutes on this first side. So after those 4 minutes are up, I'm gonna flip it onto the other side and cook it for another 4 minutes, but we're just gonna start with 4 for now.
Awesome. And while she's doing that, I'm gonna start mixing my cream cheese mixture. So I'm gonna use this stand mixer. You don't need one. A normal whisk will just do, but my arms are weak, and this is just something that'll speed up the process. So I'm gonna mute myself really quick so you guys don't have to listen to the machine. But I think in the meantime, Yael can tell you guys a Thanksgiving story.
Yeah, that is actually the perfect opportunity for me to tell you guys about some Thanksgiving history. So most of you probably have a rough idea of the Thanksgiving story, but I will retell it now. So essentially, the way Thanksgiving started was there was a group of English settlers who called themselves the Plymouth Colony. And these English people, they lived in England, but they really did not like how the English government was running things. And so, as one does, they decided to just leave, right? So they decided to set sail and try to find a new world. So they all sailed on this boat, on this ship that they called the Mayflower. And so they set out in 1620 on this ship in search of a new world. And where they actually ended up was Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So I don't know how many of you guys have been to the East Coast in the winter, but it is freezing. I have been there a few times because my sister goes to college there, and the snow is like terrible, super cold. So if you're ever in the East Coast for winter, you know that the conditions are not very friendly. So these settlers get here and they have to settle in, right? And what they have to do is prepare for the winter. So they decide to start getting food and supplies. And especially they needed to get some crops because the soil conditions are really not good in the winter when it's that cold. So they try to gather as much food as they can and as much supplies as they can. And what actually ended up happening was they took some supplies from this tribe called the Wampanoag. Now, the Wampanoag tribe notices this, right? And they decided one of their members should go and check out what's going on with the English colony. So they ended up sending someone who actually already knew settlers. He had had experience with settlers in the past, and he also spoke English. So he went over to the colony, sort of scoped things out, saw what was going on, and eventually they came to this really beautiful agreement between the Native American tribe and between the English people to protect each other and to look out for each other from the surrounding Native American tribes. So they had this really beautiful alliance between them, and they said, you know what, we should sort of celebrate this alliance in some way. And so what they ended up doing was having a 3-day harvest celebration. So this was sort of like the precursor to what we call Thanksgiving now. But in this 3-day celebration, or they were able to have this 3-day celebration because the Native Americans taught the English people how to grow crops like corn and how to use fish as fertilizer so that their crops would grow strong. So in their Thanksgiving feast, they actually didn't have any of the normal or traditional Thanksgiving foods we eat today. So there was actually no turkey at all, no cranberry sauce, no mashed potatoes, no nothing. Their Thanksgiving meal probably had things like deer and other roasted meats. It had shellfish probably, and then a lot of corn. So I always found that really interesting that, all of our Thanksgiving staples today were never a part of the original feast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's something that's really crazy. I wonder where all these Thanksgiving traditions come from because every year I feel like we have our turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and cranberry, but that wasn't even part of the original celebration.
Right,
Anyways,
not at all.
I've finished mixing my cream cheese later, as you guys can tell. So now the next step is to just put it in one of these crusts. So let us know if you want me to use the graham cracker crust or the Oreo crust. I know Yael has some thoughts on this. Which one do you prefer?
Oh yeah, my vote definitely goes to Oreo crust.
I think I would say the same. So we're gonna wait and see if anyone has any thoughts, but I'm gonna start unwrapping the Oreo crust. And how's your?
And in the meantime, you were mentioning. Oh, sorry. What did you say?
Oh, I was just asking how your potato was going.
Oh, it is actually great timing for that question.
Wow.
That sound means that the first 4 minutes are up. So I will just point this at our microwave setup. Or actually, I might just take you with me to my microwave.
Vlog style.
Alright, so I would say be careful at this point. You might want to grab a paper towel or some sort of like something to protect your hands because this could be really hot. So I'm just going to test it with my hand. And that feels okay, so I'm just going to flip that over with my hand onto the other side. But definitely test it first, make sure it's not too hot. And now we're just going to put it in for another 4 minutes. And then we're just going to wait. So this is definitely the longest part of my recipe anyways, it's just waiting.
Right, okay, so while we're waiting, Yael and I did research some Thanksgiving fun facts, and we came across the number of turkeys or an estimated number of turkeys that are cooked across the US on Thanksgiving every year. So if you have a guess for that number, please let us know. I was definitely really surprised to hear how many.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's got to be a lot because like a lot of people in America celebrate Thanksgiving and have that centerpiece turkey, but still the actual number is kind of crazy.
Right, and also something that I learned is that in Canada, they celebrate Thanksgiving in October, which is kind of really crazy to me because in my mind, October is Halloween and November is Thanksgiving and December is Christmas. I like the holidays month by month.
And then another fun fact that I learned was that Benjamin Franklin actually thought that the turkey should be the national bird of America instead of the bald eagle.
I feel like that's a little less intimidating than.
I agree. But you never know if maybe we think that because turkeys aren't the national bird. Like maybe we would view turkeys as these really like proud, strong animals if they were the national bird.
That's true. They're kind of intimidating in the wild.
They are.
They're bigger than I expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually do see wild turkeys pretty often in Palo Alto on like random bike rides. So they're definitely bigger than you would think.
I've seen them at Foothill sometimes in the race.
Interesting. Yeah, in the chat, let us know if you've ever seen a wild turkey and also if you think a turkey should be America's bird instead of a bald eagle.
I think I could get behind that.
I think I could too. And then the other interesting thing that... Sorry, go ahead, Miranda.
Oh, I'm just going to be spooning my cream cheese mixture into the Oreo crust. But continue with your fact.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. So the other really interesting fact that I heard was that apparently most Americans prefer the leftover Thanksgiving meal to the original Thanksgiving lunch or dinner, which I always thought was really strange because for me personally, I love the like original Thanksgiving feast, sitting down with my family, saying our thanks. The leftovers are good too, but I prefer the original meal.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. I think that's very valid. The leftover Thanksgiving meal is always, you can eat it for days, That's kind of like our 3-day Thanksgiving feast.
Exactly. Maybe we have our own 3D one unintentionally.
Mm-hmm. I think like the original Thanksgiving day and like being with your family and saying your thanks and everything is part of the experience. And I think that's what tips it over to being better than the leftovers.
Mm-hmm. Because I will say, like, leftover Thanksgiving food can definitely taste better than the day of. But I think that's just because I'm not the biggest turkey fan. So, like, just plain turkey on a plate doesn't really do it for me. Yeah, but, like, if I put that turkey in a sandwich and maybe, like, do a little sweet and savory and put cranberry sauce on top, I think that's, like, a much more exciting meal.
Yeah, honestly, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. All right, should we go ahead and reveal the number of turkeys?
Oh my god, you're so right. I almost forgot. Okay, so the number of turkeys that are cooked across the US every year for Thanksgiving is 46 million.
That is just crazy to me.
Insane, that's so many turkeys.
Right. And I guess like one thing we were wondering about was like, why did turkey even become the Thanksgiving bird in the first place? Because like, why not chicken? I guess we eat chicken more often every day, so it doesn't feel like a celebration. But
special. I mean, I have heard people vouch that they'll have chicken on Thanksgiving Day instead of turkey, but I feel like that's sort of not the norm that we're used to.
Right. Okay, so that sound means that our sweet potato should be fun.
I'm doing it.
Out now. And what we're actually going to do now is just let this rest. I might just put it right here in my sink. Because if I try to do anything with it now, it's going to be super hot and I'm probably going to burn myself. So I'm just going to leave it here for like 1 or 2 minutes, let it rest, and then we will continue.
Right. I don't think I've ever cooked with sweet potatoes before, so I'm definitely going to try your recipe out.
Oh my gosh, I really hope you do. I actually want to mention that I don't think you can cook regular potatoes in the microwave like you can sweet potatoes. I'm not totally sure. I've never tried, but I think something about the sweet potato makes it like uniquely able to steam the microwave.
Yeah. I can't imagine making like a normal potato mug cake. It just doesn't
really
make sense in my head.
Yeah. And you know, sweet potatoes actually aren't that sweet though. Like, I think I'm used to having sweet potatoes as like a really sweet dish because when I have it, I normally have mashed sweet potatoes, which is actually the recipe that I just put up on track a week ago. And those are sweetened with like maple syrup and butter and things like that and cinnamon. So that makes them super sweet. And I guess, you know, that's the function of the maple syrup in this recipe. So
I do love the taste of maple syrup. I always sweeten my cakes with it, just because I feel like it adds kick.
I totally agree.
All right, so
what's going on in your recipe?
Yeah, so I'm going to start mixing the second layer of our cheesecake, which is the pumpkin layer. And so that starts off with a cup of milk, and then our whole can of pumpkin. So that's 15 ounces of pumpkin puree, which I'm really excited to smell just because I love the smell of pumpkin. It's so fall. And then we'll add both of our dry pudding mixes as well, and as many of the spices as we want. So lucky for me, this can opens with a tab because I'm not very good with can openers for some reason.
Neither am I.
Okay, let's see. Right, so you just pull it back like that. Awesome. And then we have this amazing orange pumpkin puree, which smells really good. I'm gonna grab a spoon so I can get it out. It kind of looks like the mashed sweet potatoes from your track path, don't you think? Just a little bit.
We are. We're doing a little orange themed.
We really are.
Meal recipe. Okay. So while you combine those, I think the sweet potato has cooled off enough for me to peel it. So the nice thing about making it in the microwave is we can actually just go ahead and peel it with our hands on a cutting board. And you really only need your hands. I might use my fork to like assist me if some parts stick, but we're just gonna peel it off and then we're actually gonna mash it straight on the cutting board.
Awesome. Yeah, our recipes are gonna look really similar at this step.
It really will. I like that it's a little monochromatic theme. I think that's one of the nice things about Thanksgiving. It actually ends up being a super colorful plate. It's sort of like the red cranberry sauce, orange sweet potatoes, maybe orange mac and cheese if you eat that as a side.
Oh, mac and cheese sounds like a really good side.
It does. My family has never actually had that as a side for Thanksgiving.
Really? I think we've had like macaroni salad, but honestly, I'm not as big of a fan.
Yeah. I think sticking with the classics is always a good idea, but I also know that everyone has a different idea of what the classics are.
That's true. That's a very good point.
So as you can see with my peeling, I mean, some of the potato is sticking to the peel. Don't worry about that too much. That's fine. We are not going to need this entire potato anyways.
Awesome. And It's crazy how you only need one sweet potato to make a whole mug cake.
I think that's really the beauty of the mug cake is like, I feel like if I make a normal cake, I either feel tempted to eat way too much when it's right out of the oven,
Right.
or I feel like some of it just gets wasted because we never manage to finish it all in time. And with a mug cake, you're just making a perfect dessert that's a single size.
Yeah,
You can just finish it off all by yourself.
Yeah, during quarantine, I definitely made a lot of mug desserts. I made mug cake and mug cinnamon rolls, which I thought were really good. So I feel like,
amazing.
yeah, and you can do it all with your microwave, and it happens in like minutes instead of hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think it's an underrated form of baking.
I totally agree. I think the microwave gets a bad rep, and I don't really know why. Like, especially for cooking as a kid. I know I loved baking and I loved cooking when I was a kid, but my parents rightfully did not trust me around an open flame because I was not the most stringent about safety protocols. So I think the microwave is such a great tool because as long as you're not putting any metallic or like metal things in the microwave, then there's really no way you can go wrong when you're cooking in it.
Right. And so I want to emphasize that you cannot put any metal in your microwave because I had an incident very recently with my sister who's in 9th grade right now, and she tried to microwave something in foil. And I think, as many of you guys know, foil is metal, and when you put metal in the microwave, the particles move really fast, and that causes an explosion. So I'm just emphasizing that you should never put anything metal or foil in your microwave.
I'm sorry, my microphone or my audio has just cut out, so let me just get that fixed.
All right, no problem. Okay, so I mixed in both of my vanilla pudding packages, and so it actually looks like I have a lot of pumpkin mix. So I'm gonna try and flatten down my cream cheese layer just a little so my pie doesn't overfill. But I'm very excited because this just means more to eat. All right, so we can get it all.
I think we are back. Is my audio working?
I can hear you, yes.
All right, sorry guys. I don't know why I'm having so many technical difficulties today, but let's fix that. There we go. All right, technical difficulties happen. No worries, people. But in the meantime, I've managed to peel this entire sweet potato, and now mashing it is literally just as easy as taking your fork and just pressing it down onto the sweet potato on this cutting board. And it's going to mash really nicely and easily, as you see.
All right, and I'm going to take my orange mash, and I'm going to carefully pour as much as I think will fit in this crust because I don't want to overflow. And then I'll come in with my spatula and sort of smooth it out. So what I love about this recipe is that it's super simple.
So this mash is not going to be... Sorry, did I speak over you, Miranda?
I think we're having a little bit of differences in audio, but I was just going to say this recipe is really simple because you're really just making 2 layers that need to be refrigerated, and all you really need to do is mix. And what's going on with your recipe?
So I've just finished mashing my sweet potato. And so the nice thing about this recipe is you're not going to end up using all of this mashed sweet potato. You're going to have some leftovers. Definitely get a Tupperware for that. But we are going to need about a 1/4 cup of this mashed potato. So I'm going to just grab a spatula and pack 1/4 cup of the sweet potato in.
Could you perhaps use the leftovers for the mashed sweet potatoes recipe that you made?
That would be a fantastic idea.
Potatoes and pie. That sounds really good.
So, that should be good. Just a packed 1/4 cup. So I'm going to move this out of the way for now. I'm going to grab a bowl instead. I'm just going to transfer this into that bowl.
Awesome.
All right, now is when the fun begins, and we get to start adding the rest of our ingredients. So now is when we're going to take that 2 teaspoons of cocoa powder and add that in, and a teaspoon of nut butter of your choice. Spatula can be helpful here. Maybe 2 spatulas. which I might end up using. And then our maple syrup. And we're just going to start by mixing that up. I would recommend maybe using a spatula or a fork for this. If you use a whisk, the sweet potato might get stuck right in that whisk, and we don't want that to happen.
I found my spoon to be very useful during today's mixing.
Definitely. So you can see how right away, ooh, got a little on my hand, that's okay. You can see how it turns really fudgy and nice. That is the texture that we are looking for.
So good. It kind of reminds me of like a brownie mix.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Like I'm tempted to just eat this as is.
Oh yeah, I mean.
Right. So the only reason we're not going to eat it as is because now we're going to add in a raw egg. And now I know a lot of people say you should crack your egg into a separate bowl first and then put it into the bowl with your batter, but I'm just going to be a risk taker and I'm going to go straight ahead.
Okay, I'm going to make sure there's nothing wrong with your egg. And why
Sorry,
is
what?
the reason? Oh, I was going to ask, why is the reason that a lot of people like to crack their egg into a different bowl first?
Right, so I'm going to add the baking soda and then I will talk about that. So adding the baking soda in and then mixing that well. So a lot of people say that you should crack your egg into a separate bowl just because in some cases, either you can accidentally crack some shell into your bowl, which is obviously not desirable. And the other risk that you're taking is that if you have a rotten egg and you crack it right into your batter, then that batter is going to be ruined, obviously. But I've never had that happen to me. So at this point, I just keep taking the risk. Maybe if it happens to me one day, I'll learn my lesson and I'll listen to the pros and I'll crack it into a different dish. But for now, I continue to live life on the edge.
Of course. I'm too trained from our middle school's home economics class, so I have to crack an egg into a different bowl just because I'm paranoid. But I hope that you have good luck with all of your future eggs, Yael.
I really hope so.
All right.
Okay, so we are at our final step now, and I'm just going to add in the optional, but not so optional in my opinion, chocolate chips.
Never optional.
I'm just going to sort of fold those in. You don't really need to keep like mixing, but just sort of this folding motion. We want it to be evenly distributed throughout our little mug cake batter.
Right, and that's right. Okay, so yeah. So the last step that we have for my recipe is just putting on your top Cool Whip layer, and that is really it for mine. How close are you to finishing your recipe, Yael?
I am pretty much done, almost, right? Because I haven't actually made or baked this. But what we're going to do now is get any mug of your choice. Also, I'm so sorry about the little cake on my thumb. Let's get that off. So you're just going to take any mug that you like. You just want it to be a good-sized coffee mug so that all the batter can fit. And you just want to grease that in some way. You can use butter. I'm just going to be using a cooking spray. We don't have to worry too much about sticking because we're going to eat this straight out of the mug. And then you're just going to transfer this little bowl mixture into your mug. And also, of course, make sure your mug is microwave safe.
Oh, also I wanted to mention, Yael, I love your mug. The stripes are
Thank
very
you so
cute.
much. This is my go-to mug for coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
So maybe tomorrow it'll taste like chocolate cake.
Maybe. Honestly, that's a really good combination. If you drink coffee, I think chocolate cake and coffee would be amazing.
I totally agree. I don't think there's anything that chocolate makes worse. Chocolate makes everything better.
That's true. There's no bad combinations with chocolate. Okay, so here's my finished pie. You can't see that much, but because the whipped cream layer is on top, but it's a 3-layer cheesecake pie. The bottom layer is the cream cheese mix that we made, and then we have pumpkin, and then we have our whipped cream or Cool Whip on top. So I'm going to put this in the fridge, and it needs to set for 4 hours. The cream cheese layer will set, the pumpkin layer with the vanilla pudding will set, and then we'll be able to slice it and enjoy. So I'm going to put this in my fridge.
Perfect. Now I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it into the microwave for 90 seconds to cook. So let's just...
It's crazy how long it takes 90 seconds. but if I were to bake a chocolate pie, it would probably be in the oven for an hour.
Definitely. This is super good. Right. So that is just going to cook for 90 seconds, and then we will be able to look at our finished product. So I'm super excited to see what turned out.
Yeah, so unfortunately, if you made the cheesecake pumpkin pie, you won't see your finished product yet. But if you decide to make the recipe, let us know in the comments how it goes. And same thing for the mug cake, of course.
Definitely. And one thing I will say about my recipe while it cooks in the microwave over here is I did say 90 seconds, but you might want to start checking at like a minute because every microwave has a different wattage, a different power level, and I wouldn't want you to accidentally burn your microwave mug cake. Right. So if you want to start checking a little bit earlier, that is totally a good idea. And that's just a general good idea for cooking. Even if a recipe says like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it's always a good idea to sort of check on your own because every oven has different power levels, every stovetop has different like heat levels. So that's just a little pro tip there.
Yeah, it's always better to underbake than overbake because you can fix underbaking but not burnt cake.
Right.
Okay. And while we're waiting on that, Yael and I thought it would be really nice to tell you guys what we're thankful for this Thanksgiving because it's a nice little tradition.
I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you.
Oh, Yael, can you hear me?
Sorry, say that again?
Can you hear me?
Oh.
Okay, so I think Yael might not be able to hear me, but I can share one thing that I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving, and that is just, yeah, it's been a really crazy year, but reflecting on it all, I think that even though quarantine was kind of crazy and hit out of nowhere, it gave me some time to spend with my family, and it allowed me to value communication with my friends more, so I'm definitely grateful for that. And let us know in the comments what you guys are thankful for as well.
All right, so I just wanted to show you guys this beautiful final product. Now, you can totally just eat this straight out of the mug. One thing I would highly recommend is that you add maybe some vanilla ice cream right on top, or maybe some whipped cream, or if you've got it, maybe some vanilla Greek yogurt. That would go perfectly with the chocolate flavors. But look at that, super amazing, perfectly baked cake made completely in the microwave.
That looks amazing, Yael.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So what I did while the audio cut out was I told the viewers what I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving. And would you like to share yours now?
I would absolutely love to share. So I think one thing I really noticed that I'm thankful for this year is just how easy it is to communicate with people. So, I mean, you and I are able to bake a really lovely Thanksgiving recipe together from like a few miles away. And especially with the pandemic, it's really drove home how nice it is to be able to reach any friend, basically like they're just a text away, right? So like one way I've really stayed sane during quarantine is just reaching out to my friends through text, through FaceTime, through like FaceTime bake-offs like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just really thankful for the ability to connect, to spend more time with family and friends, even if we can't see each other in person.
I would agree completely. Do you wanna, is your mug cake ready to taste or does it need to cool down?
I mean, this is ready to eat. Were you gonna say I should do a little taste test?
Wow. I think we would love that.
I would love to. Let me grab a fork. Or actually, I'm gonna grab a spoon.
And
we can get a nice texture shot here too.
Ooh.
So look at that. Perfectly cooked.
That looks so good.
Let's try this out. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to get a slightly smaller bite, but it does not want to.
It wants you to enjoy the full experience. How is it?
That is so good. That is so chocolate, so fudgy. That is amazing.
I'm so excited to try out your recipe.
All right, so I think I will go ahead and finish the rest of this, and hopefully you guys made these recipes too, or you're planning to make them for your Thanksgiving. So definitely let us know in the chat. I think we had a blast doing this together, and we would love to do this again sometime. Thank you guys so much for coming. And I think that's it from us.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. We're feeling very thankful. And hopefully you guys enjoyed these recipes.
Yeah. Bye. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone. Bye, guys.